we have the same problem. The black bracket that normally screws into here will screw into there, and that hole is also not tapped. I don't know if that's something John Deere does, or if this particular unit that came from Tuff Torq just doesn't have that tapped, or what. But we didn't realize this until we got it on here. So, and then the other thing is that this is a very tight fit here. You can't get a normal tap in there with its handle, even if we took the unit off. So if we were to put a T-handle on this, even with the unit off, the T-handle would interfere with this part of the transmission. So we were thinking, why don't we just try to tap it in place, because we have to kind of do a kludge anyway. I think the original screw that goes in there is an M8, kind of like the cable guard screw. We don't have an M8, we don't have an M8 tap, so we're doing something close, which is a 5/16 inch -18 SAE type tap for that kind of screw. It's a little looser than it probably would be for an M8, but it probably would be good enough. So we're going to give that a try. To keep the tap perpendicular to the hole, we're going to create a little tapping block, which is basically just a piece of metal. Usually people use solid pieces of metal. We're going to use this thing. We've used a drill press to drill this hole, the 5/16 inch clearance hole, and then we're going to cut this off so that we can fit it into that tight space, and that'll help keep the tap perpendicular to the hole so it doesn't go in kind of at an angle and mess the whole hole up. So that's the theory. We're going to give it a try. Okay, so we have this sort of makeshift tapping block that's going to fit in there like that to help keep this perpendicular. Then the concept's going to be put that in there like that while it's on the unit, and then just twist this with a wrench. It's kind of kludgy, but we'll see if it works. So to give you some idea of what I'm talking about, that's what the wrench looks like in the tap and tapping block. You just got to really, at the very beginning, make sure that your tap looks like it's going in straight. You don't want to go in at an angle. And the hole isn't the same size as it should be for a 5/16 inch tap. It's actually slightly larger, so it should feel fairly easy to tap it. You don't want to force it, and when you get to the bottom, you'll know it. It'll just, suddenly get pretty stiff, and you won't be able to tap it any farther. So if you take your time, it looks like it's possible. bracket on there. We've got a hook on this, kind of like, you can think of it as a gas pedal. It's this bar here that goes under into there, and it's going to hook to this lever. And you might have to work the pedal back and forth a few times. Put a little bit of stress on this, pulling it back and kind of wiggling it around until it lines up with the hole that fits in. And then you can just kind of clamp it in there. It just takes a little bit of like stressing, pulling it back a little bit, and then just sort of wiggling in there. And then on the other side, this clip goes in. It slides on the brake pedal or bar, whatever you want to call it, on the other side of this lever, and it just kind of squeezes on and it holds pretty well. After getting that in, I'm going to lower the brake line from where I had it, drop that in there, and then I'll put the washer and little spring on it. And that's what it looks like with the washer and the clip in it. You might want to put the little rounded part of the clip facing that way so it's easier to pull off in the future. If it's over here, you're going to bang into the bracket. You have two thick washers. Put that on first, the barrel, the thick washer. Then before or as you're putting the wheel on, you're going to put the woodruff key in, and then thin washer, the clip, and the boot or the cover. So basically that just fits right on there. That. This guy goes on next. That is on there. Woodruff key goes into the slot right here. And it doesn't really matter where it goes as long as it's in the slot properly. And get your wheel lined up with the little slot that you'll see for it. When you do put your wheel in there, make sure you put the inflator nozzle on the outside where you can get to it. Put on your washer there, and then this guy has the thing that's going to fit into the woodruff key slot and also into that groove that's there. It's a little hard for me to do it one-handed, so I'm going to have to use a tool. Kind of the best way to get it on there is just kind of put it on there and then just push it down in so that little protuberance sticks into the woodruff key slot. It's pretty easy to get it on if you just shove it in from that side. And then of course this goes on last with the tire. It snaps on. It's kind of loose, but everything ought to spin okay. Okay, and when you do spin your tire, the transmission should give it a nice smooth feel. If If it's clicking or doing all kinds of really crunchy noises, something's wrong. Okay, so one thing about differential after you get everything put together, if you spin this wheel one direction, you'll notice that the other wheel turns the opposite direction. That's perfectly normal. So don't freak out, that's just one of the magic things about differentials.